This is just a bit of a video on one of these. In this case, it's a fake knockoff Riddex pest repeller, although the real ones don't really do anything either. Real, in sneer quotes, of course. Got this for next to nothing off of Amazon, just knowing that it was a piece of garbage, just wanting to do a bit of a video on it, this one being more concerned with things like electrical safety. The Riddex logo thing there, night light thing that these things are claimed to have. And of course you turn on the electricity, green light there, flashing red light. That initially starting bright and then dimming suggests some kind of a really cheap relaxation oscillator type thing. And then there's a night light, which in this case is actually a blue LED. They didn't even put a white LED in there because, reasons. This one's less than $5, so it'd be worth it for video. The authentic ones, again, authentic in sneer quotes, were over $20 at Wally World when last I checked, although they haven't sold them. Of course, obviously I'm not going to buy a piece of rubbish for that price, but if I can find one used at a yard sale or something. Anyway, it's now to see what's inside the stupid thing. Again, risk of electrocution, careful about opening these things up. And of course, one other thing is that the back of this is completely plain, no branding at all. There's, of course, it's got a standard NEMA 115 plug on it, but this recess suggests that this was probably intended for Swiss plugs of some sort, and there's actually a pair of, really hard to see, those are actually stress molding lines in the plastic. Well, maybe shoot, but there's not really showing up on camera, although you can sort of see it. There's a pair of circular molds suggesting that this was originally for a pair of round pins like a Euro plug or something. And then of course it's being molded differently so that it takes the blades of a NEMA 115 plug instead of the round pins of a Swiss or Italian plug. Or a Euro plug or something that's being obviously intended for that, and this might actually be a dual molded thing where they just have kind of a the rectangular slots with a round cutout out of a chunk of them, and then they just change the mold pattern depending on what they're making, which is most likely the case here. And of course, less than a second of effort with a screwdriver, although I have opened this thing up previously, so that might have made it a bit easier, but this is of course a completely snap together case. No screws, because they cost money. A little bit surprising, they actually did use a fiberglass PCB, although I don't know if it is actual FR4, it could very well be something like G10 or some really nasty, crappy fiberglass. Three 100,000 ohm, what look to be probably 1 watt resistors, 3 super bright LEDs, probably be scavenging them out of it. Switch for the night light, a little piezo electric buzzer, so it's probably just got a simple oscillator circuit to drive that. There's a chunk taken of the thing already. Lovely! And there's quality right there. But yeah, so these things are claimed to emit some kind of electrical field that repels pests, even though a lot of things, they don't really affect anything, and if anything, some electrical fields can attract things like cockroaches. Although there are ultrasonic pest repellers that can periodically work for some things, but generally traps are a more effective solution. And of course this piezoelectric disc doesn't do anything because both wires are soldered to the same point on it. One of those would actually be soldered to this outer metal ring, if this were in fact anything. It's rubbish even from that angle. I'm going to take a look what the circuit is. There's a electrolytic capacitor there, probably part of the relaxation oscillator for that red LED. And a couple of 14007 diodes. Bog standard stuff. Of course, the quote-unquote authentic things are claimed to emit some kind of an electric field, which of course would have all kinds of issues with conducted radiation, but since when have idiots ever cared about rubbish like that? And if I can get on a authentic one, it'd be interesting to test this thing, but of course or it'd be interesting to test one just to see what exactly it does. But of course, it's complete rubbish because one thing claims to protect an entire floor. And if you know anything about mains wiring, and if you've wired buildings, if you're even familiar with how they're wired, mains wiring kind of goes on multiple floors, and yeah, it's just stupid once you think about it. And even before you think about it, if you know anything. So now let's see what's on the other side of the PCB. And just having a bit of a poke at the circuitry, it is extraordinarily simple. It's just each of these LEDs is wired in series with one of these resistors, one resistor per LED, and one of these diodes, again, one diode per each LED. And this is just a one of those self-flashing LEDs where it's basically just got a little driver chip built in. I don't know if you can easily see in there, but kind of hard to see, but there you can just about see there's a little dot in the center of it right now, which is the actual die for the LED, but then you can see there's another little chip in there, and that's all that capacitor is doing. It's just to stabilize the electricity supply, or cut down on the ripple to a sufficient extent that the chip somewhat works, because they're generally expect DC, and of course with this they'd be getting, you know, rectified bands of basically 60 pulses per second of electricity. And of course, one thing about this is that also on the package it claimed that this thing was 220 volts, even though there was another label in Chinese that suggested that it was 110 volts, even though they used characters instead of, you know, just a V. Although again, not speaking Chinese, that's just a complete guess, but probably reasonably accurate. So yeah, this is a piece of crap. It doesn't do anything. And of course, also lay PCB. That probably gives you some idea of what and how much that piezo disc would do. Absolutely nothing. It's just a pair of copper pads that are completely isolated from anything else. So yeah, don't buy it.